Dr. Season, is the time right? Hello, Dr. Season, can we start?
We can hear you, Season.
Shahjahan sir, good afternoon.
So we will start with a prayer for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Now it's a prayer time for 10 seconds. So now, welcome back. Let me welcome our moderator, Dr. V. Bindu. She's the principal of Hosur Public School, Hosur, and she's a board of director of CAR. And she got around 20 plus years of vast experience as a principal, a passionate counselor, and she got enormous award in the field of education. And she's a master trainer CBSE. And recently she got the National Award Best CBSE Principal 2019. I welcome Dr. V. Bindu. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Sri Sant Gobinath. Good afternoon and welcome each one of you to the third webinar under the NEP 2020 webinar masterclass series organized by Center for Education Initiatives and Research Trust Global. CEIR is an international forum of experts and scholars aiming at empowering the educators in order to keep them on par with global standards. Established in 2009, it has done various activities in the field of education. CEIR organized an All Kerala Principals Conclave in August 2019 at Cochin, inaugurated by the Honorable Secretary of CBSE, Sri Anurag Tripathi. Soon after that, the pandemic hit the country, and it's again a sheer confidence that Sri Anurag Tripathi himself inaugurated the first virtual program of CEIR on 6th June 2020. Till now, CEIR has organized 49 workshops for principals, 23 handwriting made easy programs, and 7 student career programs in virtual platform. CEIR has efficient educators as board of directors, zonal directors, and premium members from all parts of India and Middle East. One of our unique program is Campus Connect. Handwriting made easy for students of all classes, which is totally free. Interested schools may send mail to connect@ceirglobal.com. Kindly join our news desk and Facebook group to get updates from CEIR. The National Education Policy 2020, which was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on 29 July 2020, attempts to relook at the education system in India that we inherited from our colonial masters and outlines the vision of India's new education system. Definitely, it must liberate the Indian mind from the shackles of Western paradigm of thoughts and transform the country's academic scenario all the way from a toddler to the level of a research scholar. The NEP Masterclass webinar series are planned on every Tuesdays and Saturdays in the month of February with an objective to help schools implement NEP guidelines in their classrooms. The speakers are all experts from the field of education. We are honored to have Ms. Srividya Mauli as the speaker of the day. We have the presence of Ms. Vijayam Karta, the Zonal Director of CEIR and Founder Trustee of Kerala Public School Jamshedpur, who is the master brain and project head of the master series of NEP. We also have 2 panelists, Dr. C.B. Mishra, Director, Principal of Prudence School, New Delhi, and the member, Board of Directors of CEIR Global, and Ms. Pallavi Sharma, Principal, Mabada Modern Senior Secondary School, New Delhi, and Zonal Director of CIR Global with us. Mr. Pramod Mahajan, Principal Sharjah Indian School and Zonal Director of CIR UAE region will be giving the concluding remarks and proposing the vote of thanks. We are also privileged to have CIR Board of Trustees, Zonal Directors and the premium members amongst us. So many other educators, principals and the teachers also have joined today. On behalf of CIR, I welcome you all to this session. As you listen to the speaker, I request the participants to kindly mute your audios and videos, share the questions in the chat box, and please note that those who wish to receive a certificate will have to attend minimum 5 webinars and also submit the feedback form, which we will be posting towards the end of the session. I have great pleasure in introducing our versatile speaker of the day, Ms. Srividya Mauli. She has been working as the principal of TVS Academy, Hosur, Tamil Nadu since 2004. Her journey as a middle school teacher of English from 1990 in TVS Academy, Hosur, to the present level as principal in the same school is glorious. She has implemented many innovative projects and ideas in her school, and that has led Ashoka listing her school as one of the 10 changemaker schools in India in 2015. She presented 7 papers on various topics like total quality in education, towards child-centered learning, why organic farming, excellence in education, effective practice in organic vegetable cultivation at various forums. She has gone to New Zealand and UK to learn about learning difficulties in children and for a school curriculum. She is the proud recipient of Dronacharya Award for Excellence in Teaching, Duke Edinburgh's Gold Award and the President's Award for Girl Guides and Best Principal Award from Benari Institute of Technology and many other prestigious accolades. She is the District Training Coordinator for CBSE in COE Chennai region. We are greatly honored to have you here as the speaker of the day, ma'am. Now the floor is open to you, and we look forward to hear from one of the most acclaimed educators of the country. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bindu, for those lovely words. I hope I'm able to deliver whatever the third chapter contains in as precise manner as possible. So the topic assigned to me is how do we integrate essential subject skills and capacities in the curriculum as envisioned in the NEP 2020, and what kind of holistic assessment is possible in the classroom. Next slide, please. This is as listed in the Ministry of Education, how the reduction of curriculum is going to happen to ensure that rote learning is minimized and experiential engaging interaction happens in the class. Though there are 4 components, I've decided in each of the slides I will highlight one and talk about it for a few minutes and move on to the next topic. So for this particular component, reduction in curriculum, I'll be speaking about experiential learning. In most of our schools, next slide, please. In most of our schools, when we talk to children, a subject that most students fear or dread is social studies. So as a school, we have a totally engaging approach to the teaching of social studies, which is experiential, which is what I'm going to speak to you about. There's a simulation of what is called as an archaeological dig. The previous slide, please. So this is, a excavation site that is created by students, and all layers, as you would find in an excavation site, are created with grids. And this is introduced to our grade 6. So the children are introduced to how do we understand history? How do we look at different sources? How do sources become the way by which we understand our past And from the past, how do we understand our present? The reason why I'm structuring it with some of the activities we have done is I feel at the end of the session, you should have some takeaways as to how you can implement some of the policies outlined in NEP in your classroom. The next one. Next slide, please. Students are introduced to different sources in history. It is artifacts. They look at pieces of writing. They look at photographs. They listen to music and dance. In fact, we try to make it fun by picking up movie songs over the last 70 years and ask them to interpret what they understand by listening to that song of that period. And we say, how do you think people are going to interpret 2020 when they listen to the songs you and I are listening today? So this becomes what is called as source-based analysis. And this is the foundation for the way in which we teach history in our school. The next slide, please. So children, after the archaeological excavation, they pick out the artifacts and they start analyzing what that artifact could be. They try to write the biography of the artifact, the user, whether it is user-friendly or whether it has a purpose in today's context. And you would see all these activities are happening in groups, and there is collaborative learning happening right through. So it is the process that is very important for us to introduce any content. Next slide, please. When we look at the learning objectives, the competencies, we hear a lot of stress on how subjects need to be integrated. How do you integrate art? How do you integrate sports? How do you integrate subjects? How do you integrate ICT storytelling into the pedagogy? And we as a school believe that there can be no hard and fast separation. Subjects are not watertight compartments. There is such a free flow and everything evolves around the learning. So how have we tried to bring this into the classroom? I'm citing an example from COVID. Next slide, please. An important history topic that is there in grade 8 is the Vijayanagara Empire. In normal times, our students would have had an opportunity to visit either the Chora or the Vijayanagara monuments. But now with lockdown, it becomes more or less looking at the screen. We thought, why not make it engaging? And we took Google's Street View, and children had an opportunity to visit every monument site in Hampi. That is how the entire history topic around Vijayanagara was learnt. You find that there is a picture about the aqueducts, the water harvesting, why it was important, why Krishnadevaraya gave such importance to temple tanks. Then, the bazaar, the Krishna Bazaar that you see on top. And what do we interpret from the Krishna Bazaar about the life and times of people in Vijayanagara? If these were the kind of common dining spaces, which you see at the bottom left, what does it tell you about Vijayanagara as an empire? And what you see on the top right is what is called the Purandara Mantapa. Those of us who are familiar with Carnatic music will know that a beginner in Carnatic music learns what is called as the Sarali Varasai, the Janta Varasai, the Alankarams. All these were formulated by Purandaradasa. It is believed that Purandaradasa wrote thousands of musical compositions, of which 750 have survived. So when children study about all this, they learn a few songs of Purandaradasa, his contemporary Kanakadasa. Then you have Annamacharya, his kirtans. They learn all this. So you find that there is a seamless integration of music, of water harvesting, of city planning. You get to understand about how prosperous the city was. The next slide, please. Hampi is replete with such beautiful monuments. What you see on the top left is called as the Hazara Rama Temple. The reason why it is called the Hazara Rama Temple, it was a private temple of the royal family, and on the wall you see depicted thousands of scenes from the Ramayana. So when you actually project a particular frieze, there is a discussion in class for the children to guess what aspect of Ramayana is depicted there. So you find that there is a lot of integration of literature around, Vijayanagara. The top pillars on the left, right that you see are musical pillars. So children get to analyze what causes these pillars to produce sounds, and are there other temples that have these sounds? And they study about resonance sounds in physics. And the bottom right, you see what is called as the camera obscura, or the pinhole camera. There is a famous temple called the Virupaksha temple. The Virupaksha temple's Gopuram, or the entranceway, has a pinhole camera, and what you see is the reflection of the temple Gopuram 400 meters away. So children study the physics behind a camera obscura. What you see on the left is the excavated platform of the royal complex. And it is said by historians who visited Hampi that when the Battle of Talikota happened and the Bahmani Sultans took over Hampi, they burnt the city for 6 months to bring it to the state in which we find it today. So that actually gives us an understanding of how glorious the empire was. So all these are the sources by which we integrate subjects when we do a project, when we learn the topic Vijayanagara. The same has been adopted when we do Mughals, because Street View, Google Street View, allows you to enter any monument. Most monuments in the world are covered in that, and it gives the children a feel of visiting, touching each of those artifacts and monuments that they see. The next slide, please. And we also made it possible for a historian to come and talk to the children, because classes are happening on virtual mode. And what is interesting is Hampi today was actually the Kishkinta that is referred in the Ramayana. And the Veera Hanuman worship started in Hampi. So this is how we concluded the unit on Vijayanagara. Next slide, please. Again, a lot of importance has been given to mental, physical health and well-being of children. And this is purely for administrators to come up with who will be the kind of people they will hire, what is the kind of facility, accessibility they'll make available to have an inclusive classroom. I'm just going to focus on reducing of school bag weight, because this is something that R.K. Narayan raised in the Rajya Sabha. And approximately, if you weigh the school bag of a child in, say, 5th or 6th grade in our schools, next slide. It's roughly, if you see the school bag's weight, it's about 10.8 kgs. And medical professionals say a child should be carrying 10% of its body weight as a backpack to school. So it came as a shock to us that, we are burdening the child. So we came up with this concept called a book bank, where every child gets one set of used textbooks from its seniors and a new set of textbooks from the school for the child to use, which is kept at home. So we have provided lockers like this in school, where the children leave behind their textbooks. The next phase was children said, our notebooks are so heavy because of the binding. So then we went in for this concept of a notepad. These are all simple interventions, but go a long way in reducing the burden of the child, because with the lunch bag, the snack bag, the water bottles, obviously the school tiffin bag itself weighs more than 10% of the child's weight. And in addition, the child has a backpack that it carries. The next slide, please. The curriculum chapter, no, the next one. You've gone to the slide ahead, I think. Yeah. The innovative pedagogy that we will be adopting in the classroom to ensure that there is experiential learning, wherein we bring in a lot of real hand experiences, project-based learning, activity-based learning, where, you know, the child uses a lot of manipulatives and simulations to experience a particular concept. And there is a lot of joy in the inquiry cycle and the discovery that the child makes. And there is no hard and fast separation between curricular and co-curricular and extracurricular activities. The child has a freedom to choose to represent its learning in any which way in this kind of experiential project-based learning. As a school process, we believe in constructivist theory, where there is a lot of meaningful learnings that happen from peer interaction. So we create an opportunity to have a discussion and a dialogue regularly. And there is integration of technology. This year, because of COVID, by default, all our classes have been a beautiful integration of technology. Next slide, please. Next slide. I don't know why every time it's going to this. Yeah. You find that there is a lot of emphasis on yoga, meditation, music, movement, a lot of dance that happens, art, both visual and performing art is a very, very integral part of the school day for us. Next slide. You find that children are also introduced to robotics and a 3D printer. Here you find the children on the top left creating a prosthetic leg for an elephant, because we live in an elephant corridor, and there was a news that elephant had injured its leg and it had to be amputated. So they said, if we have to come up with a prosthetic leg like the Jaipur foot for the elephant, what will we do? That's what they have designed. They study the flora and fauna of the campus. Ours is a 10-acre campus. That's how they study plant classification. We have a Met station where they study the rainwater. The rain gauge, the data is collected and recorded and maintained by children. They calculate what is the kind of rooftop water that can be harvested by us. So there's a lot of application of whatever concepts that they study in subjects in these kind of experiential activities that happen in school. Carpentry, plumbing, electrical circuits are part and parcel of our experiential learning. Next slide, please. Storytelling and, art and sports becoming integrated is a key component in the NEP. And you find that for our younger grades, every day the children listen to 2 different stories, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, using a whole range of material. And sometimes, by using a whole lot of puppets. You will find every class going into a deep dive into some form of art, and they are given the opportunity to create a mural on the school wall. One of our neighborhood schools, where the children saw the work happening, made a request, can you help us to create such murals in our school? And you find that our students and the students of a neighborhood government school together painted the walls of their school with beautiful murals. So there is a lot of collaboration not only within the school, but also collaboration with other schools in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. And this time, when every opportunity to learn virtually, we've not missed out. This was a project, a STEAM project that was introduced by IIT Gandhinagar for teachers. And we celebrate a green Diwali every year for the past 10 years. So the teachers use the opportunity to introduce how to make all these lanterns. All these lanterns are made by students from 5th to 10th. And that's how they celebrated Diwali. And students have also been introduced to coding. They came out with an app because, you know, since the lockdown was suddenly introduced, some of their elders, family members were far away. So they created this app with which they could get any help that was required. So there is a lot of integration of technology in what they do. Next slide. The Knowledge of India lists, you know, all these very interesting parameters. I'm just going to skip this slide and move on to the next, where I will just give you some snippets. I spoke to you about art immersion. Art is everywhere. It is how we perceive art that matters. In the things that you find in nature around you, you can create an art. Children are taught to observe. The 4th graders maintain what is called as a nature journal of what they see, the seasonal flowers and butterflies. And you find the older children, as part of their 10-day bagless school, they go through an art immersion and come up with a mural of this kind. Next slide. We live in an elephant corridor. So a few years ago, when we had our bagless day of theater workshop, when we asked the children what was the most significant thing that happened, they mentioned the elephant coming and camping in one of our neighborhood schools for 17 days. They tried to actually, the forest department tried very hard to remove, but they couldn't. So we took up that as the deep discussion of our theater and education process. It is process driven. They kind of collected data, evidence, and they took up a story by Haruki Murakami called The Elephant Vanishes. They wrote the script, they composed music, they created the props, dance, and it was a 2-hour production. This production, children were invited to come and stage in places like Coimbatore, places like Tanjavur. They've taken another play to Chennai and Salem. So the children perform like a full-fledged theater troupe. And I'm sure Bindu, whose family is so deeply into theater, must be finding this very, very interesting. Next slide, please. Every class, as part of its EVS, because India is such a diverse country, so when we teach India as part of their EVS, they study it through a festival. First grade studies Navratri, because pan-India Dasara or Navratri is celebrated differently. They have a Golu, they have the Mysore Dasara procession, they study about the Ram Leela. So different, they learn the Dandiya. So different batches study different regions. So we had a Durga Pandal once. So different approaches to the same festival. And there is a lot of vertical learning. Older children come and work with the younger children to help them create the resources for that. And the second grade studies Pongal, which is a very, very famous harvest festival of Tamil Nadu that is celebrated for 5 years. You have the Lori, you have the Bihu, all these brought into, you know, the celebration of Pongal, which second grade does. Third grade studies Ganesha Utsav. And for the past 10 years, we have been making our own clay Ganeshas. Last session, somebody mentioned design for change. In fact, the Ganesha, the seed bomb Ganesha of TVS Academy was submitted as a project to the DFC, for which they won the National Award for Environmental Change. Next slide, please. This year, Ek Bharat Shreshta Bharat has been the concept of CBSE, where Tamil Nadu students are supposed to study about Jammu and Kashmir. And here you find our 7th and 8th grade students took up folk dances of Jammu and Kashmir. They learnt it virtually by sharing the video with each other, practicing together, and with social distance marking, they came and performed it in our auditorium, which is a huge space. So with social distancing, they celebrated this as part of their Pongal celebration. So this is Ek Bharat Shreshta Bharat that you see. Next one. They take up, there is a mention of how we need to encourage children to rise against, the ills of society, to speak about abuse, to speak about pollution. So for the past few years, we've been having campaigns. Children come up with a solution to local problems. They write petitions, appeal. Some of them have brought about drainage to their localities. They create multimedia material. They stage street plays. Here you find the group of boys with their plumbing knowledge providing pipeline connection to the toilet in one of the government schools. And Hosur has a famous car festivals when there is a lot of plastic that is used. So we took up this initiative of creating about 10,000 paper bags and distributing it to vendors, and you find the collector distributing it there. And children put up a stall outside one of the malls in Hosur to stress the importance of waste management by segregation. None of this is given as a suggestion by the school. It is the children who come up with these solutions in their boot camps and take it forward. Next slide, please. Again, the kind of being a school, there is a lot of paper waste that is generated. We have a handmade paper unit where the older children convert the paper pulp into handmade paper, and the younger children are taught to convert that paper into folders. They do a screen printing and use it as the portfolio where they put all their written work, their projects. So you see the children working on that. And what you see on the right, we went on a 2-hour drive and collected 200 bags of PET bottles. And then the children brainstormed how they could put it to use. And they've come up with a bottle construction in school where there is a lot of plumbing, there is a lot of construction basics, masonry basics, design basics that they had to use. This entire construction that you see on the right has been built by children, and they submitted it to the end, for which they were given an award. The next one, please. The street plays that I spoke to you, they've dealt with difficult subjects like CSA and POXO. Okay, and they staged it to all the principals of Sahodaya, the Hosur Sahodaya. Next slide. So street play, the theater is something very important for us. And every child, every staff on campus learns to grow something. So you grow one item that you can eat. We are in a mango belt. So our third grade starts its study in the mango flowering season, and the project goes on till 4th standard when they visit the same mango orchard to see the harvesting, to find out what kind of value addition is done to the mango. So it becomes a kind of a 3-month project that the child takes up right at 4th grade level. Next slide, please. I spoke to you about art integration, visual and performing art. We have an art residency that happens. It's a 15-day art workshop that our grade 6 and 7 go through. And after the workshop, they come up with a product. they come up with a sample work of art, which gets displayed in the Chitrakala, in the Venkatappa Art Gallery in Bangalore, one of the prestigious art galleries, and they stand there and explain to whoever visits. So it's very liberating for the child to understand that even art can be something for which the child gets a lot of accolades and appreciation. You find that we have been, even before the Shrestha Bharat, taking dances, folk forms from all states of all regions of India. Here you find the Somana Kunita dance of Karnataka being performed in Pongal celebration in 2020. Next one. We lost about 115 trees to the highway in 2011. From 2011 to 14, we raised 100,000 saplings, which the children have been planting all around Hosur. So they understand local species, how to propagate these species, what will be the kind of soil condition that is required, and then they go about planting. Now they are doing an experiment called the Miyawaki experiment in forest management. In a small portion of the school, they are doing that experiment. Next slide. You find that a lot of things is hands-on, but how do you make math learning and problem solving something which is fun-filled? I'm proud to share here that in 1992, under the guidance of a mathematician called Mr. P.K. Srinivasan, TVS Academy Hosur set up its mathematical laboratory. Now every school has a, CBSE school has a math lab. But right from 1992, we have been creating games and resources which are used to introduce every school concept, right from pre-number concepts to our Montessori children to, higher order thinking math problems. Next one. So you find that there is a mock shop, vegetable market that is there in grade 3, where children are measuring using, a weighing machine, and then they make calculations. At the end of it, they say how much they sold, what is the profit, what is the kind of loss. And you find the biodiversity on the campus. They take an area, they calculate what is the area and look at the kind of biodiversity. In 2010, a bridge was constructed in Europe where they said the designer is Da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci's cantilever bridge, without any nuts and bolts, how do you construct with a bunch of, with some wooden planks? That is what you find, our 8th graders doing as part of their history study. The Sierpinski triangle, which is part of the Fibonacci series, you find them representing it through these models. So there is a lot of deep learning, collaborative learning, meaningful construction that happens in our classrooms. Next one. And you find, I mentioned to you how monument study becomes very important. They study the golden ratio, the kind of design, because mathematics is not merely computation skills. It's also your visual spatial intelligence. As a school that believes in multiple intelligences and the 5 minds for the 21st century, we feel it is necessary to expose our students to all these aspects. So whether they are studying the Mughal monuments or they are studying the temple monuments around, the Chola Empire, you find that there is a lot of integrated learning. There is mathematics, there is design, there is ratio and proportion. They've done facial symmetry. They've analyzed Mona Lisa's painting with golden ratio. So all these are very, very engaging ways in which we can make math learning very, very relevant to our times. Next one. Here you find the ratio and proportion at, Ajanta and Ellora when they are visiting the Ekambareshwara, the temple there. Okay, the Kailashnatha temple, sorry. The Kailashnatha temple, and they are studying the acoustics inside this Chaitya. Next slide. So again, whether they pitch a tent or play a game or create a kind of a pattern in their sports day presentation or construct a GeoCity as a 5th grade project, you find that there is a lot of meaningful connection to real life situations that happen that makes math very relevant and life oriented. I want to mention one particular project very briefly here. Statistics is introduced during the IPL season because whether we like it or not, children end up watching IPL late night and many times they may miss out doing the homework. So the math teacher ingeniously incorporated that as the project. Next slide, please. So you find traditional games are being played, which have a lot of mathematical reasoning. Next slide. There is a lot of math in columns and designs, and you find our alumni making use of engineering drawing to create a pattern on the ground. Next one. And they design a square foot garden using mathematical calculations. Next slide. The assessment, Bindu had specifically asked me to touch on this at length because, we have the CBSE saying that can we transform, can we look at a holistic assessment of 360-degree multidimensional assessment where there is self-peer assessment and, there is a 360 validation. We have empowered our students to take control of their learning. For the past 7 years, goal setting, next slide, please. Goal setting, a lot of analysis of performance, the next one. We have made use of a lot of tools to make learning very, very relevant, to take feedback, give and receive feedback from others, and to set what is called as SMART goals. Next slide. So we have a 6-step process which has been documented by Ashoka as one of the best practices which they want other Ashoka schools across the world to replicate, as how do you empower children to take control of their learning. The next slide. And how does it help the teacher? If you look, many times, when we are doing an assessment, we feel that had we corrected, if it is a formative assessment, at the right time, if we have provided the support, it would have empowered the child to overcome certain loopholes or gaps in their learning. So that is what, we have used this entire analysis for. Next slide. This is the kind of, every time we take up a new project or an idea to our classroom, we do a PDCA cycle. We plan, do, check, and then, we kind of tweak whatever we have done. So that is what we have done in terms of our 360-degree feedback also. Next one. We do a triangulation of assessment. Here, this is the 9th grade paper, and it is not when CC was happening only. This is as recent as, last batch. So what we get them to do is the answer key is given to the students and we ask them to evaluate their own performance. There is a self-assessment, there is a peer assessment, and there is a teacher assessment of every test paper. So the child gets to review the answers thrice. So in the process, the child realizes what are the kind of gaps in its performance and is able to easily overcome it. Next slide. This is the triangulation that features in the feedback that we send to parents. This is our goal setting template. Next one. There is an error analysis. What is the mark assigned? What is it that I have scored? Why have I lost that mark? And how do I overcome that? When the child is able to analyze its errors and plot its performance in terms of a graph, it becomes visually striking for the child to improve its performance, because we have a dialogue around, an ECG like performance graph. Ishikawa, or the fishbone diagram, is used by management to analyze how do you reduce or mitigate errors. So this has been introduced to our children as the way in which they analyze, why have I not been able to achieve the goal that I set out? Next slide. This is the template, the 360-degree template. We started off only with, 2 teachers and 2 classmates giving a feedback and a self-assessment. Subsequently, parents said, we also want to give a feedback, because what is being evaluated here is the behavior and the interpersonal skills, because it's not only the academic skills that are featured. We believe that the portfolio should also cover aspects like my interpersonal skills and behavior. We have taken Angela Duckworth's 24 character traits and culled out what could be used for children. And we have, kind of created this template for the children as an assessment tool. Next slide. I spoke to you about goal setting, but our 6th and 7th grade does what is called as a SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses as a student? What do I want to become better in? What are the chances I need? What are the fears I have? When the child is able to speak out and spell out, we are able to provide each child with the right kind of support. We also make use of the Johari window to help people understand. Sometimes they contact people to get, how do I kind of discover my blind spot? So that disclosure also happens. Next slide, please. And correction. Why is it that we give so much of importance to self, peer, and the teacher correction? Because correction should lead to improvement. We are not here to judge a child. We all make mistakes. So when the child understands that I made this mistake not because I wanted to make the mistake, it's because I did not know. So then the child feels, empowered that now that I know this is a mistake, how can I find a way to overcome this? This, repeatedly children have told me, has been a very liberating experience. What you see as the self-assessment using symbols, that is something that we do in our 2nd grade after every worksheet. And from 3rd grade onwards, if you look at our worksheets, our workbooks, they have those symbols. If it is a circle with a P and a tick, it means that particular worksheet will be corrected or evaluated by a peer. If it has a triangle and a tick, it means that it is going to be corrected by the teacher. If it has a square and a tick and a S, it means it's a self-correction. So it's not necessary that only a teacher can evaluate. The teacher is not the all-powerful person. So we have given children what is called as a control card, with the help of which they evaluate. Next slide, please. This is a control card for self-correction. So you have the grammar exercise and the answers given, and the child corrects it. Next slide. You find that there is giving instructions, which is part of our mapping skill and also expository writing. So here it is a peer which is who's going to correct what is the kind of step the person has followed in giving instruction. Next, please. When we want children to do a piece of original writing, a child struggles for ideas. So what we as a school do is we follow a 3-step process. The first step is when the teacher introduces through a shared writing on the board. The next one is we give a 4-square template like this, and children get an opportunity to discuss in their groups, brainstorm ideas. So this we call as a big talk. So once the children have done a big talk, from there they are able to move to a big write, which is then corrected by the teacher, because it might be a 1-paragraph story, it might run to 3 paragraphs with very clear beginning, middle, and end. So all these become the tools that empower our children to take control of their learning. The next slide, please. So there is a lot of transparency in expectation, because many times we don't spell out very clearly to the child what we expect as an outline. As a school, we have created exemplars or samples from the previous batch's work, which we show children, saying that this is an exemplar of a good work. So how do we create a rubric for the project that we are going to do? So this is the rubric that I used last year for evaluating the social studies project of my students. So when I made my expectations clear and communicated it to the children as a teacher, you find that there is heightened accountability. Next slide, please. You see samples of, their project work, because definitely they had to have either a photograph, a cartoon if they could draw, or an image that they have found which is relevant to the topic. The reason why we have done Industrial Revolution is Hosur is an agrarian town which in the last 30 years has become a busy industrial hub. We have about 3 SEZs around us. We are about 15 minutes from the electronic city. And Hosur by itself makes from jewelry and watches to aircraft. Okay, we have Thandreja Aerospace that makes aircrafts. And we also have lorries, auto rickshaws. Our entire TVS, the parent company that runs my school, has its units in Hosur. So you find that there is an opportunity to study pharma, textile, automotive, jewelry, Titan watches are there in Hosur. So Industrial Revolution, to study why Hosur has become such a popular place to live, how from a village in 30 years, now it is a corporation, becomes a beautiful journey for the children to plot and understand. So it is contextual, locating themselves in history. Next slide. This particular child, as an 8th grade project, in language, they create a school newspaper. We introduce PageMaker to them. One particular child decided that he is going to create the newspaper for Industrial Revolution. It is dated 1741. And, the rough drafts were all handwritten and submitted. And after it was approved, it was typeset on PageMaker. And this is the project that he submitted for his evaluation. And the project is not assessed by me, because I have created the rubrics with the children. It is 2 other social science teachers, one English or a Tamil teacher, that is one language teacher, one teacher who teaches math or science, and one junior school teacher. There are 5 people who interview the child, and there is a viva at the end of which they are awarded marks for their project work. So we believe that you can't download something from the internet and submit it as a project. You need to work, you need to take up research, and that is how we have made learning very meaningful and relevant to our times. Next slide. So the presentation, this is how every child, though it started with the older children, now right from kindergarten till our senior secondary, everybody presents their, next slide, their performance like this to the parents. Next slide. So each grade, you know, depending on the class, you have the number of people increasing. So this is a high school presentation. Next one. If you look, if you can just click on that portfolio button, I will continue speaking as that plays. You will find in COVID time, we have not given up on, you know, our student-led conference and portfolio. Children have created e-portfolios. That is a e-portfolio of one of our 8th grade students. You will find all the handwritten samples that you saw shared in the previous slides. You find it in a e-format with a beautiful dossier of how the child has recorded its journey in the 6 months since April to October. So that is the portfolio sample. It doesn't seem to be playing. I think it's time I stop. Thank you for being such patient listeners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on this chapter as, you know, a panelist. Thank you.
So thank you so much, ma'am. No words. It's really amazing, enriching. You know, no words I have. And informative also, full of practical lessons. A plethora of activities also you have conducted in your school. And that obviously has set the quality in your school. And it's simply marvelous, ma'am. And your passion for art and theater, photography, nature, everything is so evident, ma'am. I know that you are an excellent artist. See, when you have listed out everything and when we listened and watched your presentation, everything is so evident and explicit also. So that must have been everywhere that must have been transferred in your school. So now let me request Dr. C.B. Mishra to raise any one question from the chat box.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Thank you, Bindu, ma'am. And that session was very informative, you can say, and the best practices. Actually, you had integrated all those best practices in your this program. Through your PPTs and through your discussion point also. And I think that all these best practices are using by the principals in one way or another way. In the chat box, basically, there are so many questions are not raised, but because you had explained all the things in a very detailed form. But I want to ask one more question, because when you are going to make the art integration in the subjects, basically, especially in the science subjects, not in the social science, especially in the science and mathematics subject, art integration and the integration of any cultural activities. We are saying the project-based learning, theme-based learning, experiential learning, joyful learning, happiness curriculum. So how the school may train the teachers and the children to make this assessment possible?
We spend a lot of time in teacher training, sir. We almost spend 40 days every year in professional development. Every Saturday, we meet as a group of teachers for a teacher training. And in the timetable, every day of the week, there are 2 hours set aside for the subject teachers to meet for a TEP. We bring experts from all over India. Like I mentioned to you about P.K. Srinivasan, he was a consultant for about 15 years, training our teachers in mathematical reasoning. We have, people from New Zealand coming and working with us on the writing process for language teachers. We've had people from UK helping us with looking at geography very differently. So you find, and science, we've had somebody coming from Australia conducting workshop for our teachers on STEAM and STEM. So you find STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So you find an integration in all these aspects. So when they are studying about Greece, they're not studying only about the civilization. We bring the math teacher to talk to the children about the mathematics of that time, the theorems that were created, and how do people interpret that and apply it. So each time When we are studying about, say, for instance, the Mauryas, we speak about, or the golden age of India, we bring in astronomy. We bring in, the kind of Aryabhatta, we bring in Leelavati, problems from Bhaskara. So when you introduce all these things, it is not as if, it has to be an add-on. It's a free-flowing thing. I mentioned to you about my history projects. When I did Mughals, the math teacher was part of my implementation plan, because simultaneously in the math class, she was speaking about ratio and proportion. The golden ratio, the children compared Bibi Ka Maqbara, Taj Mahal, and Humayun's tomb. It is not something done only as a project. He says, I have studied about the golden ratio in math, and here, I'm studying about these monuments. Why does one look pleasing to the eye, and why does one look a little not so fine? So then, the conclusion is the child's. It is not something from the teacher. So in that sense, we don't look at it as this is a math project, this is a science project. The Vijayanagara, which I spoke to you, my resonance stone and the camera obscura, the physics teacher, I had informed her beforehand, I'm going to touch upon these. So she started introducing sound, she started introducing eye and lens and light during that time, as a result of which there was a seamless integration of science and the art, of the then and the now. So that's how, I would like to, respond to your question. I hope it answers your query.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Basically, we are in our school also doing the same thing. We are also integrating in the same part. Basically, we are having the heritage club and all these things. Now I request Pallavi Sharma, madam. Bindu, madam.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Pallavi Sharma, madam,
Thank you
please.
so much, Mr. Sir. Now, let me request Pallavi ma'am to raise the question now.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am, and thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful session. The success of a session, I think, depends on the chat box. And I think our chat box is flooded with appreciation messages. The Facebook is flooded with appreciation, ma'am. Heartiest congratulations to you and your team for doing such wonderful work that you are doing. It's really very encouraging, ma'am. And I think the session today was an inspiration. I mean, it has inspired many, I'm sure. Many people want so many of your templates, ma'am. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. But, since I really want to know, since you spoke about peer assessment, self-assessment, ma'am, what is your take on this? Do you feel that students get affected by peer pressure during the peer assessment?
I think the initial sessions, we need to introduce it in a structured way. We have introduced it right at our grade 3. So giving and receiving feedback becomes, a natural process. After any presentation, they will ask, what is the tag? We follow a 3-step process. I love acronyms. So for me, tag is tell a good thing, ask a question, give a suggestion.
Wonderful.
So right from our grade 3, they start giving. If it is a group presentation, another group will do a tag. If it is an individual presentation, the children have called it a split tag. 3 people will give. One will say a good thing, one will ask a question, and the third will give a suggestion. So like this, every teacher, we have regular audits of teachers, not only by teachers, children also give teachers a feedback. So when they understand that this is a natural process, we are not sitting on judgment, and we don't have a ranking system in our school. We don't have exams till grade 5. It's only continuous assessment of work and anecdotal records that happen. So with the result, when I don't have this first, second, and third, it becomes, I can learn from others, I can learn with others. This is the mantra that we follow. And every group has its own giving feedback to its group members, because whenever they work on projects, they are in groups for the whole term. So there is a very healthy synergy that I find developing. I don't find children being jealous of each other and trying to feel I'm better, you're not so good. Maybe because we are a small school, we are a single section school. We are a school with around 600 students and about 50 teachers. So you find that there is a lot of teacher-student interaction, and some of our students stay with us for 15 years. So with the result, you find that you're able to monitor their progress very, very effectively. So I've not come across a situation where the child felt I'm being cornered by my peer, because the children, out of the 3 feedback, they are free to choose one classmate who will give a feedback. The teacher assigns one peer. So we call it as a buddy, and we call what the teacher assigns as a peer. So we have all these modes available. So it becomes like, yes, anytime I might be assigned as a peer to somebody else. So we've found it quite, a level playing field.
Wonderful, ma'am. I love your positivity that's flowing out, for the last 1 hour. When you mentioned that you have a single section school and so many children and a teacher, I wanted to add, and a very positive head leading that institution, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think it makes a lot of difference when positivity trickles from the leadership.
Our focus for this year is happy teachers.
Oh, wonderful.
Happy classrooms. That's what we are
Wonderful.
working on.
Wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. I think learning is any day better when students, teachers, the school is happy. Very true, ma'am. Ma'am, if you may permit, one of the participants in the group wants to know more about e-portfolio. A little more,
Yeah, maybe if they
Nisha
can send.
Palihat, who wants to know more about e-portfolio.
What we have done is the same goal setting, and each child identifying what is my academic goal, what is my behavior goal, interpersonal goal, has been recorded in that. It is there in that slide. The e-portfolio is hyperlinked. The last slide, it's hyperlinked. If you actually open that, you will be able to see the entire e-portfolio rather than me explaining. If you are able to see that, it might, help you to understand it. Otherwise, you can have my email. If people send me a request, I can send you a sample. My mail ID is, you can write to me at TVSA Hosur, TVSA for TVS Academy, TVSA Hosur at yahoo.co.in. I normally respond very promptly. Because the e-portfolio, it has a fishbone diagram, it has samples of children's work that has been uploaded. It has feedback from teachers that has been uploaded. What is it that I learned? What is it that I'm still not comfortable? And what is it, because, now this last 10 months, I have been doing things in a virtual mode. How I have, kind of neglected my handwriting. How I need to get back to writing and kind of pick up my speed in handwriting and legibility. Tags, somebody asks, what is an expansion of tag? T stands for tell a good thing. A stands for ask a question. G stands for give a suggestion. So this is the feedback. So it's a 3-step process. Maybe a 2nd grade child will only be able to say one word or show by symbols. But even there, we encourage them to do it. So right from the early grades, you find that giving and receiving feedback is part of the ethos of the school. Since it is a part of the ethos, you find that it has not been something that we have had difficulty in dealing. So the e-portfolio also, children have helped each other, and you find that there's a beautiful, beautiful evidence of ICT in, action.
Very
Thank you so
true, ma'am.
much.
Very true.
Thank you so much, Pallavi ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be back to you.
Now-
I have found Miss Valsala Subramaniam raising her hand. If you are there still in the room, kindly unmute and then ask the question if you have. She's there?
Yeah,
Hello.
she's there. Yeah, she's there.
Hello.
Yeah, Vasri ma'am.
Actually, I wanted to
Kindly
visit
unmute.
the school. I am from Mumbai suburbs, and I would very much like to visit her school at
You're
Hosur.
welcome, ma'am. Write to me.
Okay.
Ma'am, you are
Once the pandemic is over and the school is open, because if you come now, you only see the building and a few teachers.
Okay.
The pandemic is over and you come to Hosur. We are about 45 kilometers from Bangalore.
Okay.
Tell me beforehand, when you're coming, it would be our pleasure to take you around the school.
Ma'am, actually, I'll be coming to Chennai in the month of April, May, to my mother-in-law's place. From there, if
okay.
I could visit.
From Chennai, we
Your
are
face is
300 and odd kilometers.
Okay.
Okay.
I
So-
think you can see the Google, madam is very much
Yeah.
famous. The school is very much famous. You can got it from the Google side also and write the madam directly for when you are coming to the school.
Oh, sure,
Thank
sir.
you, madam,
Sure.
for your asking this
Yeah,
question.
yeah, sure.
Madam, I want to ask one more question. Basically,
Yes, sir.
kindly make it something difference regarding the assessment for learning and off learning. Because right now there is a very difference between and the peoples are unable to understand between off learning and for learning.
No,
As
I said,
learning and as learning also,
And
ma'am.
as learning also.
yeah, because what happens is people think that an assessment is to evaluate a performance at the end of, a period. So when you look at, a formative assessment where you want to understand how much of what you wanted to communicate has been understood by the child, okay, then you are able to tweak the way in which you will deliver the next time. So that assessment is to help you to refocus on what you need to facilitate in the learning process. Okay. And when you are actually evaluating at the end of the term, you're looking at, okay, how much of what the child has understood is retained and the child is able to apply. Okay. And I think learning is a continuum. We can never say, we have reached. When somebody gets a centum, it is not like, okay, you need to find how are you going to sustain that centum in the next level? How are you going to apply it? So it is not the only measure by which you gauge a child's understanding. So that is the reason, how have I learned? The metacognition becomes very, very important. For us, we have a reflection at the end of every unit. How did I learn what I learned? How else would I have learned it better? Okay, these were some of the things that worked well for me. These are some things that worked well for us as a group, because we say that constructivism we are using. So what is the visible indicator? So all these are built into the self-reflections. So that is how, like yesterday, I had a 1-hour session just on evaluation. So today, when I had to cover the entire chapter in 45 minutes, it became very difficult for me to have samples. But if you are able to open the e-portfolio, if the link is sent to the participants and they are able to open the e-portfolio, they'll be able to see the evidence of the work.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I request Srisan sir to kindly share that e-portal to all the participants so that they can see that thing. One thing more last way, madam. Whether examination is necessary for grade 1 to 12?
As somebody who believes that continuous assessment is required but not an exam, we have cumulative worksheets, we have ongoing anecdotal records that we maintain, the project, the group work that is assessed. So till grade 5, we have this continuous CCE. Even before CBSE tried it from 1990, CCE has been the mode by which we evaluate our students till grade 5. If you look at our report, it is a booklet. In yesterday's session, I was mentioning that, the assessment should be like a doctor's diagnosis.
Yeah.
You diagnose what is the problem, and then the doctor gives you a prescription. In the prescription, the doctor tells you this is the medication that you require. This is the dosage. So similarly, as teachers, when we assess a child's performance, we need to tell the child how the child can overcome the kind of gaps and, how long it might take. So for that to happen, I think a formative assessment is very, very effective. A summative assessment is required at an older age where you need to see how much of what has been learned is being applied and retained. So that is when, we bring about this shift from a cumulative worksheet to an exam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I request Srisan sir, before this question,
So
there
much,
is a
Mr.
one.
Sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so
ma'am.
much.
Before this questions, there is a one link as madam is saying. You just share in the
Thank you
chat
so
box.
much, Mr. Sir. One more
Which
question.
share?
Yeah, ma'am. Please.
Yeah. And before that, let me, accord whatever she has said, because I am lucky enough that I have gone to her school 2-3 times and I have learned many things from her, and she gifted me with the saplings. That's again one of the best practice I have seen. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your learnings and sharing your wisdom to everyone. And the last question, 1 or 2 questions which I can find in the chat box is, dear ma'am, could you please ask my answer to my question? When we talk about differentiated learning, how can we encourage and cater to the needs of children? That's a question, ma'am.
Yeah.
From the chat box.
When the child says, I'm struggling with this particular thing, I'm not able to do this particular skill that is being assessed, there is no point in assessing the child for that same skill which others are answering. Our worksheets are multi-level. We have, for every concept in the junior classes that we assess, we have about 6 to 7 levels of worksheets. So you would find that a child who is only able to attempt 3-level worksheets will get a differentiated paper to assess those 3 levels. And we provide what is called as a remediation till grade 5. And from grade 6 onwards, we have something called a buddy learning system, where the child is put beside somebody who acts as a buddy who would help the child. Now, if a child has problem in reading a word problem, the child would help its buddy to break it down into simpler steps. So that is the kind of differentiated learning that happens. In my classes where I teach, I allow the children to choose which topics they want to be assessed in, for how many marks, what type of question to begin with. A child who's very confident will say, you give me any question, Akka. They call me Akka or a elder sister. They say, you give me any question, Akka, I will answer. But there are struggling learners who don't have the comfort as yet. So for those children, I provide that space where the child decides what is the mode of assessment it wants. Whether this test, I want to take only 3 descriptive answers and the rest as objective questions. So that from this 3, by the next test, I would have moved to 5. And, gradually this progression over a period of 2 years, maybe the child becomes confident to answer every type of question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. One last question from the FB page. How can we implement art integration in computer science?
I spoke of a project called Facial Symmetry. The Facial Symmetry project, the math and the computer science teacher together implemented that. You take a photograph, split it symmetrically in the center, and then, like using Photoshop, they say this is how a face which has perfect symmetry would be. And this is how, a particular face looks. So these are some of the simple projects that people have done. They've designed games, using some of the apps that they are learning, software that they are learning, the language that they are learning. So for us, computer science is more a fun thing. We don't have computer science taught as a subject per se till senior secondary. But some of our children are into coding. Depending on who is interested in what, they get to pursue. Some of our alumni and parents, we have a very active alumni and a parent body, which kind of mentors these children in all these activities. So Saturdays, a parent who has a startup comes with his team and works with the children on, coding and creating apps. So this is how, we've not only tapped on the teacher resource, we've tapped on the community resource, and all our stakeholders are involved in it.
Sorry, ma'am, that was last, but one question, one more question, last question from the Facebook page. I think it's relevant. Please suggest some activities for grade 1, because most of the activities you mentioned were, she believes, for the higher classes.
Okay, I thought because, there was a lot of mention of integrated ICT, and consciously, I believe that, technology should not be used for little children, which is the reason why I concentrated on the older grades. Like, for instance, my younger children, like Montessori, where the emphasis is on sensorial learning, or, grade 1, where they are studying about plants, we give them grow bags in the classroom. Either they can take it home or keep it in school, grow. They study the entire life cycle of a plant. And then, we had this child who had come from another city who had joined the class. He said, when I was in my previous school, I knew the spelling of root. But after I have come here, and when I harvested my greens, I knew what is a root. So you find that these are all insightful for us. Again, writing starts only in the 3rd year of school, that is in UKG. So our, children are learning in grade 1, everything only through experience. There is a lot of conversation. They, study the weather, plot graphs, they create pictographs. We introduce the basics of algebra in pattern language using a whole lot of material. I can only say if you come, you will be able to see it. Otherwise, if you write to me, I can send you some examples of the project, because, it is too short a time for me to cover what we do in 15 years of my school. Even if I concentrate on each class for 2 or 3 minutes, it will, the entire session would have been only that. That is the reason why I couldn't, make a mention of, the younger grades. I'm sorry about it. It's not that it doesn't happen. If you go to the website, the TVS Academy website, you will find a description of, some of the things that happen. And by looking at the pictures, you might be able to understand how these activities help in strengthening the concept learning at the younger grades.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's so wonderful. I have one request to the participant, come to Hosur. I'll take you all to Sri Vidya ma'am's school. I am also in Hosur. That's my word. Okay, ma'am. Now I request all the participants to fill up the feedback form posted in the chat box. Hope you must have filled out. Please note that the attendance and feedback of minimum 5 webinars of this series are compulsory to get your e-certificate. A small reminder to all our esteemed audience, please don't miss out our next session by Ms. Revati Srinivasan on support for gifted students and students with special talents on Saturday, 13th February. Now, let me request Mr. Pramod Mahajan to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon and good evening. It's really a wonderful session. Before proceeding to the vote of thanks, let me give my final comments as it was announced. So, Madam Srividya started with simulation techniques, citing the archaeological dig, experiential learning, learning about the past and utilizing in present, analysis of artifact, virtual tours, integration of technology, creation of some app, and natural journal, physics journal, chemistry journal, that is common thing, but the natural journal, that is something really, we can say, extraordinary thing. Festival of India via art integration, vertical and horizontal learning, crop cultivation using the community resources, that is something great. For the environmental thing, forest management in the field of graphics or engineering, that DVNC, bridge and all, biodiversity in an area, logical thinking via real life examples, that is something very great. And all those aspects actually showing that thing, yes, a lot of integration is happening, inter-subject, intra-subject, as well as beyond that. No ranking, that's a good concept. And as far as the strength is concerned, 600 students, 50 teachers. So a lot of things were going on. And in the form of a tag, tell one good thing, yes, with the limited strength, a lot of things are happening. Why I am telling limited strength? Because 600 students and 50 teachers. If I compare that thing with my school, I have 1,300 students only in KG1. So with the limited strength, she is doing wonders. There is no second thought. Ask a question. Yes, in your task, lot of feedback-based things are going on. But one thing is missing, or what I found missing, or may not be highlighted today, that is the anecdote analysis. Anecdotes of each and every child, of each and every year, of each and every month, of each and every day, of each and every hour, that is somewhat important, and that is a part of assessment as learning and assessment in learning. In the integration, she has very nicely expressed that how assessment of learning and assessment for learning is happening. But I can see with the example, a lot of assessment as learning is also happening. The students are learning themselves and they know what to learn, when to learn, and how to learn. Feedback, last is give a feedback. So that is, the feedback is assessment in learning. Complete ownership of assessment on the shoulder of the students. They should frame their own assignment. They should set their own question paper. They should evaluate themselves, and they should come up with the solution for why they have not completed that task within that stipulated time or what. So that assessment in learning is somewhat the suggestion comes to my mind. Now, second part of my today's talk is about the vote of thanks. Really, the energy, the positivity, beyond that, the optimism of Madam Srividya was ultimate, and we are thankful to you for that positivity. And really, the biggest takeaway is the optimism of yours and answering the question with the smiling face, keeping the things limited, whatever you have done. That is very good aspect, and up to some extent you have related that thing to the NEP also. These are the fundamentals, these are the concepts which are related to the NEP, and you are working on that. Thanks a lot for that great task, with your optimism, with your positivity, and with the limited resources, unlimited things you are doing. That is something great. I'm thankful to you, thankful to CEIR for bringing such a personality on this platform. Thanking to Vijaya ma'am for initiating this project, NEP 2020. Today's moderator, she has done a fantastic job. The panel members, CB Mishra sir and Madam Pushpalata, they have asked very good questions. And yeah, and thankful to all the board of directors of CEIR, Srishan sir, and great, and what we can say, a big salute to all the attendees. 1,000, it was full, house full. There are many waiting in the waiting room also. And the way they were putting their appreciation and the question in the chat box, that is great. So thanks one and all. It's a good discussion today. And logically, or we can say the logical consistency of today's session is that was foolproofed 1.5 hours, which has been utilized every minute, every second. And with that, once again, thanks to Srividya ma'am for her positivity, for her optimism, and the things which she has done on her fingerprints. It shows that up to what extent she has personally involved in that. And that involvement is the biggest takeaway for today's session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, Pramod Mahajan, sir. And once again, kudos to you, Srividya ma'am, for your commitment towards education. Hats off to you. We all salute you, actually.
Madam, sorry to interrupt you.
There comes the end of the third webinar of CEIR on NEP Masterclass series. And we look forward to your presence in the coming Saturday, that is 13th, by Miss Revati Srinivasan. Don't miss that, on support for gifted students and students with special needs. So many of you have asked the question, how will we get the e-certificate? If you attend minimum 5 webinars, still there is time left. You can attend the other left out programs, and you kindly submit the feedback forms. And if you have attended 5 programs of ours, this series, you will definitely get the e-certificate. So thank you once again for attending our session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bindu Madam. Thank you, Pramod Mahajan sir, and all the directors of CIR and all the zonal directors, premium directors, and all the participants. Srividya ma'am, last my question, that is my very personal question to you, because
Yes,
CIR is also doing one of the part of regarding the Veda handwriting lab. This handwriting basically is the part and parcel of training the students for improving their handwriting with the scientific skills. How we can assess whether the handwriting is any part of the skills for development in this integration of learning and assessment or not?
One very conscious thing that we follow, we introduce cursive writing only in grade 4. Because, you know, we go by what language specialists and psychologists say, developmental psychologists. So we start with what is called as a writing readiness. For us, the first 3 years of school, there is no writing. So when you look at handwriting, there are some children whose work becomes so extraordinary that when people come for a practical exam, they say, can we have this book? Because the handwriting is like calligraphy, because they have been introduced to art. So when they are actually, but some children don't think that that is important. They start quickly, writing, completing the work. So that is when we tell them that you need to pay attention. Maybe you need to go for help. And there are people conducting classes, locally also. And there are people doing a handwriting analysis. So all that input, if people are interested, but I don't think, because only to write an exam, the child requires handwriting. Once you get into the world of work, the importance that we give to handwriting, only earlier doctors used to write their prescription or teachers used to use. Now doctors also in Practo, they give you a e-prescription. So you find that handwriting, yes, we do speed and accuracy of handwriting as one of our measures of is the child able to write at adequate speed? We do that. We do an analysis. Is the letter formed in the right way? Because sometimes the way people write A and E, it looks like as if the child wants to confuse you. You take whether it's A or E. Okay.
Even 1 and 7.
Yeah. So you find that all these, we do point out, along with a reading running record that we maintain as a portfolio, to add on to, what Dr. Mahajan asked me as a question, gave me as a feedback. Every day there is reflection, sir, and children maintain, how have I learned? There is metacognition. So there is, that reflection tool that is an anecdotal record from the child, from the teacher, from the group. So all this is happening. So for all that handwriting, now, when they come back to school, it's going to take us at least 2 months to get them on, the writing mode, because they're all very fast in keying now. So handwriting will definitely, need to be analyzed, and then we need to ask them to register for Vedas programs.
At the last, one more addition in that, like scientifically, handwriting and handwriting preparation, handwriting analysis, speed writing and all, it enhances your thinking process, it enhances your reflections, and it will force you to think critically. When you are writing, see, something come in your mind and your hands started moving. That is the technique. And for those techniques, the Veda Handwriting Lab is famous. So I would like to request all those schools who are interested, they can write, they can register, and they can experience that, how the thoughts coming in your mind and your hands are moving and you started writing on your page. Sometimes it happens in the examination, you become blank. And when you take a long breath, your hand started moving and you started writing. So that is the art of handwriting. That is the, we can say, science behind the handwriting, or rather than telepathy behind the handwriting. Being a biophysics student, I would like to add that thing. Handwriting is not only that giving the prescription or something, but handwriting actually connects you telepathically with your thought process. That is the science behind it. And if you really wanted to understand that science, experience the Veda Handwriting Lab, register yourself, contact them. It's free of cost. Experience that thing and then decide. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Mahajan sir, and sure, Sri sir. I request the participants kindly fill the registration and the feedback form. I request Srishan sir to kindly share it again and kindly give the Veda Handwriting and CIR this Facebook link. If any person wants to join, kindly make subscribe the Facebook channel of this CIR.
That has
Definitely you
been,
get
that
all
has
of
been shared, sir. That has been shared.
Yeah, please. And thank you again, Shri Vidya Moli ma'am. Thank you to ma'am, and thank you Bindu ma'am. Thank you Vijayam ma'am, and all Pramod Majanji and Pallavi Sharma madam. All to thanks. Thank you to all. Thank you Kajal madam.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, CIER.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
For having me for
Thank
the
you.
second time in months.
No, that's
Not
not
enough,
the impact of the first. You made
They
the
may
first
call you
impact
again,
that
you know.
much, man. That's the reason. The first impact was that good. So after 7 months, we called you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hats off you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That
Thank
shows that, ma'am, we will call you again because
Again,
second
yeah.
you know, third is the normal way.
We are
Very
getting
good, very
we are getting that we are supposed to start the teachers training programs also.
We had a virtual campus visit, campus tour.
Yeah, virtually also we will visit the campus as the CBSE is doing the affiliation work. We will do the campus visit also, and definitely we'll start the sharing of practicing of the teachers training programs, principal training programs very soon also.
Yeah.
Thank you to all.
Thank you. All the best. All the best. Thank you. Thank you.
One question is there, can I register my child for handwriting?
Sure,
that-
kindly
Ask them to
Shishan,
send a mail,
kindly
ma'am.
share.
We are actually exceeding the time. Bindu ma'am, extremely sorry, ma'am.
Kindly share the link, no problem.
Ask them to share in the mail ID, ma'am, please.
Please send your question to our mail ID, contact@ceirglobal.com.
Yes.
Please send. We will reply back to you.
Thank you.
Great, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am. Thank you.